Welcome to the Halfway House.
What up?
Good morning.
So let's talk about this in the Halfway House today. LIV golfers and the President's Cup. Is this a mistake leaving them out right now? Would this have a big impact on them? What are we thinking? Dave, what's your thoughts on LIV? And maybe in the future, maybe now, there's been a lot of things that have come out with the PGA and LIV moving forward. But
And
what are your thoughts on this?
here's the thing. I'm going to preface this the same way that I do for the Ryder Cup. You're trying to win for your country, or in this case, the international squad. Take the best players available. End of story.
So you're pro LIV being on our team?
Yes.
Or on the international team? Okay.
100%. You were trying to win, for lack of a better term, for king and country. Take the best players available.
There you go. So, Steve, what's your thought on this?
Last week we talked about, or last week before, I mentioned that I didn't mind Jon Rahm being able to play in the DP World Tour while he appealed fines and suspension, and understanding the appeal and suspension process. To me, the President's Cup is much different than the Ryder Cup. Is that it was started by the PGA Tour. It's run by the PGA Tour. And you should be in good standing as a PGA Tour member to be able to play. So I don't think they can. I think they should be – that should be part of their punishment. Like, you're not supporting the PGA Tour week in and week out at all. So why should you be allowed to play in an international team competition that the PGA Tour is running? Why would you want – I mean – I'll use.
These are the same. The PGA Tour. This is the same people that want to do the golf rollback. Let me just put that out there for you.
No, that's not the same. That's the United States Golf Association that wants to roll the golf ball back. And the PGA Tour is being forced by the United States Golf Association, which is a stupid idea. That's not what we're talking about tonight. As much as I don't want to get on that soapbox.
So let me ask you this with what you said there and what Dave's putting onto this is this just almost being petty? If you want to make this, because I like Dave's point about that, hey, we're doing this for the country, take the best golfers in the United States on here. I look at it kind of like the dream team where you like take the best NBA players, but you had some college players on there sometimes for that team. It's not just all college players. But from your standpoint of you did leave this tour to go to another tour, this is an event that's on this tour. So where do you kind of find that balance? Are you blaming this other tour for something that is an international event and most people don't see as a PGA event? So
it's you kind of look at it, and when you talk about PGA rules and meddling in everything, the first match. Let me go back to the first match. Phil and Tiger. We all know, I'm a degenerate gambler. We all know this. But there could have been so much more money put out there, but because they had a PGA rules official out there following them around and didn't want to seem like the PGA was gambling, the PGA put the kibosh down on a lot of things on that match, which could have made it so much better. Case in point, LIV golfers bringing something else to, whether it's the Ryder Cup, this time around the President's Cup, they made Jon Rahm, Bryson DeChambeau, Brooks Koepka, even, if you want to go down the list to Dustin Johnson, they're bring something to this event. They are playing a team golf aspect and individual, in the LIV golf format. They understand a little bit more the team concepts right there. And again, at the end of the day, put the best team out there to win and bring home a trophy.
So, Dave, you're saying it's kind of twofold there. You're saying that it will increase the entertainment value of the event because of that kind of LIV PGA thing, and you're putting the best players out there from just golf in general. So you're helping kind of the sport in general, which would hopefully, I think, kind of mend fences in a sense. It would help with that, where you're just letting them in this event. You're not letting them in the other events where they're winning money, because they're not winning. They're not getting paid for this as much. So you're looking at it from put the best players out there and make the event more entertaining because it has that better competition. But Steve,
I want to watch good golf. I don't care where they stand. I don't,
I get that.
Be out there on one leg. Yeah.
I get that. So Steve, but you're saying because it's the PGA that you want to keep it to that pure PGA, like you're eligible for this. You went over to LIV, so you're not eligible for this, and you just have to deal with that. So that's where you're coming from. So.
Week in and week out, are you supporting the PGA Tour at PGA Tour events, showing up, doing the Pro-Am circuit of playing the Pro-Ams with your sponsors and doing all of those things? You're not. You have left. We're not paying you. You're a suspended member of the PGA Tour. And if you are suspended, if you're suspended from the NFL, if you're suspended from Major League Baseball or any other professional sport, you aren't allowed to play. You're not. And at the end of the day, these guys are also getting paid from the PGA Tour to their charities. There's money going to their charities here. And when you look at it, we're realistically, the U.S. team is only missing 2 players this year, and that's Brooks and Bryson. The international team, Cam would have been a captain's pick if he wasn't on the team. Joaquin Neiman has played great this year, would have been a captain's pick. And maybe I'd say Dean Burmester. Obviously, he's played great in some Champions Tour majors and won on the PGA Tour Champions with the majors that he's played in. But outside of that, we're talking about what are 5 guys maybe. And yes, Bryson won the U.S. Open. Great. Okay, cool. I just don't see the idea that you have. Why are you not supporting the people that were loyal to you and sticking up for you? These guys left. These guys are making, and based on TV ratings and everything else, you can talk about what they're making for the LIV Tour, but they aren't supporting your tour. They're making money for another tour is what they're doing. So if they're making money for all these other tours out there, then why should they be allowed to play in an event that arguably is one of the biggest events that you put on if you're the PGA Tour?
So with that, I'm going to segue us into the big news that came out that the PGA Tour now has said that moving forward for the PGA Championship, for the Ryder Cup, if you
PGA of America said this.
PGA of America said this. Yeah, sorry, the PGA of America said you are now eligible if you earn enough points. That being said, so the only way LIV players could earn enough points are at the majors.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, Bryson would be in, I want to say 3rd or 6th place, somewhere around there.
3rd, I think he's in 3rd place this year as of right now for the Ryder Cup team.
For the Ryder Cup next year. So that puts him into this for that. And I kind of look at when we're looking at trying to find what's going on with the PIF, what's going on in the future, how we're trying to grow the game, try to make it better. Is this a way to mend fences and lean more towards what Dave's looking for? Because I get what you're saying, Steve, but would this help to kind of mend those fences if they started to say, hey, we're going to let you play in this event because we think it's better for ratings and both teams, because both international and U.S., because we do look at it from a bias of Team USA, like, hey, we want these players on there because players like Rahm and Sergio and the Rory would not be on this international team for the President's Cup because it's not the Team Europe, it's everywhere else.
Yeah.
So
at the President's Cup too, PGA is a business. Businesses want to make money. The best golfers in the world make you more money with TV ratings.
Well, that's what LIV thought.
LIV doesn't have a TV platform. PGA at least has a TV platform.
I know, but I just had to take my shot there. That it's not.
LIV has a TV platform. LIV has a TV platform. It's a CW, and I mean,
where are you going to find the CW?
I mean, true. What the problem is that LIV should have just gone 100% streaming. As if they were smart, they would have not even signed the deal with the CW and looked at the future and just tried to go complete streaming. I just think that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
I think that, again, if you're the PGA Tour, we've had this conversation before about LIV players, that if you leave your employer, you go to another employer, you quit your job, you go to another employer, you shouldn't be able to still get paid from from your former employer. And that's where I am with this, is that you can't sit there and say, oh, well, I want to be paid, I want to do these things, this, that, and the other. And there's a lot going on behind the scenes with the arguments of how to integrate these players that left for LIV back into the PGA Tour. And I honestly think it's going to be what brings this deal between the PGA Tour and the PIF down, because the PIF doesn't want a problem integrating these players back in. And I think when you look at that, integrating them in at the President's Cup, all that's showing is we're going to bring these players in for one of our events, and we're not going to be loyal to the players that have stayed here. We're not going to help them financially from a tax purpose in donating to their charities and their 501c3s, because all of them have one for tax write-off purposes. And I think that at that point, they don't deserve that, because they're, again, not helping the brand. They're helping Greg Norman try and look good, is all they're trying to do. And they've taken a boatload of cash. And while you can sit there and say, I want a player, I want to do this, or I want to do that, you took your money. You knew what was coming for you when you took this money. In taking that money, sayonara, deuces. Like, it's events like this that, you know what, you need to be you want to get in, you need to buy a ticket.
But on the flip side of that, you're talking charities, you're talking this, you're talking that. We're talking about winning a trophy. Charities and paychecks and everything else has nothing to do with winning a trophy. Charities are great. Donating money to a charity is great. PGA does it a lot. Players do it a lot. You're trying to win for your country. You're trying to win for Team USA. And that's what you need to get behind, is the idea of Team USA. And that's where we fall short in the Ryder Cup, because it's a lot of individuals trying to come together. Whereas Greg has mentioned before, the Europeans get really together in that team aspect. And it's Team USA. It's not charities. It's not getting a payday. It's Team USA and a winning culture. Winning cultures have the best available, whether you see eye to eye with those, or not. It's like having, being the New York Yankees and having to have short hair and not a beard, and nobody wants to always go and play there. But you're Team USA. You're not LIV. You're not the PGA. You are Team USA, and that is the concept that people need to get behind, and not this entity or another as Team USA.
Okay, so to Dave's point there, Steve, let me ask you this question in reverse of that. So there's a lot of animosity towards LIV, and LIV, like the way they've acted towards the PGA Tour. So I'm going to change the scenario here. This is hypothetical, by the way. I'm going to put out there that, what if there was a college player right now that was dominating the college scene, maybe has played in like the Junior Am and the US Amateur, but hasn't played in like PGA events or anything like that, but was kind of like Tiger Woods was at that time when he was an amateur, and you said, man, this guy is the best player in the world right now. Like, he's playing Scotty Scheffler numbers up there on these courses. Would you allow that person to be picked as a captain's pick over someone on LIV? Because that's the same thing. They're not on the PGA Tour. They're not on a competing tour, but you're taking a spot away from someone on the PGA Tour. But this kid might be like the Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James of the sport, like coming out of high school and is in college and is just an amazing golfer that could, to Dave's point, make our team better. Would you take that amateur over someone that was
I'm going to point this out, and Rory said it, I believe, last week while he was at Wentworth, when he had a mic in front of him and was asked about Ian Poulter captaining a Ryder Cup team. Okay. Rory's comment is that Poulter is too far removed and doesn't know the pulse of the players that are currently going to be on the Ryder Cup team because of his time at LIV, and he's not in there week in and week out with those players. Now, I will say this. Luke Clanton, and we can use him as an example, asking about this. Here's an amateur from Florida State who has played some tremendous golf on the PGA Tour. Tremendous golf on the PGA Tour. Has some amazing stats. Do I think he has played enough events to earn that? I don't know that I'd take him for a President's Cup team. Again, they didn't take. When you look at who they took this year for this President's Cup team, I was the one that said they should have taken Nick Dunlap. Won twice this year. We've got players that didn't win at all this year on this team that we picked as captain's picks. And Nick Dunlap finished 25th or 28th in points playing after the American Express in California through the rest of the year after he turned professional. And that was the only time he could gain points. So we're talking about a 2-year he missed a year and a half of a 2-year stretch and still finished in the top 30 in points. To me, was one of the hottest players out there, and you probably should have taken him because, again, I want guys that can win. If Luke Clanton had come out and won this year on the PGA Tour, especially in the fall series, late in the year where you didn't have as many players playing, going into Wyndham or something like that, I would have been like, yeah, no, you need to take the dude. The dude knows how to win, and he's beaten the best players in the world. It's why I said you need to take Nick Dunlap. It's why I said you need to take Akshay. Like, these guys know how to win. I think, you know what, if these guys have won on that tour, there's a difference between winning on the amateur level. And when you look at, and you don't have to look back very far, you mentioned his name. You can go back to Tiger and see how his results were in majors and everything else when he played as an amateur versus, oh, wait, his first professional major that he played in was the 97 Masters.
So to answer my question that I said there, you're more on the fence of, because of the way LIV and the PGA are at a disagreement, that's why Nick Dunlap, from an amateur standpoint, if he was still an amateur and never joined the PGA Tour this year and just stayed at, was it Alabama? If he stayed at Alabama and only played and maybe won 2 events as an amateur, which is, I'd say, Bobby Jones type of wins,
right?
You would accept that because he's not a direct competitor to the PGA Tour. But had he said, hey, I'm going to LIV, you would have said no to him.
Again, does he have the rights to play on the PGA Tour?
No, but I'm saying,
again, are you suspended from the PGA Tour? And everybody that is on the LIV Tour is currently suspended from the PGA Tour. Everybody is. So
but
if
you
everybody
you said it yourself. You want the players that know how to win.
Correct.
I saw you catch that, Dave. That's why I said, hold on a second.
Correct. And I'm okay with that. And again, argue. Bryson won the U.S. Open this year. I'm not arguing that. I'm not. He played great in 2 other majors and missed the cut in the third and the fourth. I don't. Brooks, to me, again, is a win playing against 53 other players when some of them include the likes of the way Brendan Grace has played, or Louis Oosthuizen has played since going to LIV, or Brendan Steele. Well, Sergio actually played pretty well this year. He actually finished 3rd in points this year on the LIV Tour. The likes of Anthony Kim. Like, when you're only playing against 53 other players, and let's be real on that. How many wins did Bryson have on LIV this year?
1 or 2? I think 2.
0.
So he had 0? I had 1.
0 wins on the LIV Tour this year.
Yeah, but
0 wins. He won the U.S. Open.
So
he won the U.S. Open, but he did not win.
And he was competitive. He was competitive at the Masters.
And
you know, you
don't tell me
saying you want people that know how to win. These guys know how to win.
They do.
So,
however,
let me ask you.
I mean, let's be real. And we'll just throw it out there. Pete Rose knows how to win too, and he's suspended from baseball. And should he be allowed to play?
Well, he's old, and I don't really want him to play right now, so he probably hurt himself.
Yeah.
But here's a good point. So I kind of look at this, and this is kind of off the topic. Is it that these players that went to LIV that got all this money almost don't take the competition on LIV as serious as they do when they come over and play in a major? So to your point of Bryson and to Dave's point, he might play more competitive when he's playing in this Ryder Cup thing because it has that mentality and what's there. He plays more in the U.S. Opens, but when he's on LIV, maybe doesn't have that fire because he already got his money.
Yeah.
Like, the argument is put off by showing that Jon Rahm won the individual on the LIV Tour this year. the individual player championship, and he got his money too. But are they not playing up to the caliber that they would play because they don't have that fire and drive on that tour? Because there is no incentive. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
John Rahm won twice on the LIV Tour, didn't compete, didn't even contend in a major this year.
Yeah, so but
and
that's what I'm saying. So he didn't
part
have
of
to.
I think part of the LIV Tour is, it's a show and go. It's just like, come see the world's strongest man. And whereas, when Bryson or Brooks or John, when they come to, the majors that they're able to play in, it's lights, camera, action, let's get down to business here. And LIV doesn't have that, lights, camera. We've all ridden the great movie ride. There's no lights, camera, action. Let's go here.
Ooh, great movie ride reference.
R.I.P. Great movie ride.
Yeah, great reference.
So
it
really comes down
which is
to
why
this.
I think lights, camera, action of the President's Cup, those guys will show up. They know how to win.
All right. Well, with that being said, I think this was a good debate tonight. I think this was a good thing here. I think that it's both. I see the sides of, I kind of want the best players there, but I also see the side of that I've always said from the beginning, you made your choice. You got to deal with that choice now. So I wish there was a way that there could be some kind of international competition that could combine that was kind of on its own. We're going to talk that in another halfway house about how we would improve the President's Cup moving forward and maybe think about it in a different way. But I think this was good for tonight. So thank you guys. Thank you to everyone for checking out the halfway house, thegolfingdads.com, and check out our other show live Tuesday nights, the Golfing Dads Tavern. Thank you to Bridgestone Mindset. Thank you to American Fit.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
I'm really fortunate, man. I mean, have an opportunity to build something that's
that has gone viral on our TikTok. That somebody was commenting about playing with